Hi, Terrence O'Hanlon, CEO and publisher at ReliabilityWeb and Uptime Magazine. My pleasure to invite you to consider bringing you and your team down to IMC. Come down and learn from the best peers from the world's best run organizations. We've got over 1,000 asset managers, reliability leaders, maintenance professionals, condition monitoring subject matter experts, the book authors, all of the academic professionals, as well as the consultants, the subject matter experts, and the solution providers, all designed to speed you and your team on your journey to advancing reliability and asset management. One of the things that the ReliabilityWeb team is most proud of is that over 97% of the participants at the International Maintenance Conference report that they take something back to work and put to immediate use to advance reliability and asset management. There is as much knowledge in the audience as there ever is up on stage. So come on down to IMC and find what you need to move your team to the next level of performance. Anybody get any sleep last night? I did. No, yeah, it can be. You got to pace yourself at these things. But I do get excited. I get excited. It's okay to get excited about maintenance. It's okay to get excited about reliability. It's okay to get excited about asset management. I'm excited this morning because I get to talk to a bunch of people that we currently call winners. Everybody's a winner at ReliabilityWeb, but these are the winners of the Uptime Awards, and we're going to talk to them a little bit about the journey that they've made to get to where they were to be able to come up on stage at the beginning of this conference and collect the Uptime Awards. So right now, I'd ask the panelists to join me on stage. Come on up, give them a hand as they make their way up. I think we got them all. All right, terrific. And thank you for joining me this morning. I hope you guys got some sleep last night. We're now karaokeing till the late hours, the wee hours of the night. It looks like you're fresh and sharp here this morning. So let's get started. You know what we really want to do is kind of share. We want our attendees that didn't win the awards to kind of recognize themselves in you guys, so that they see a possibility of possibly sitting in your place next year. You know, with the journey, I guess, and I don't know which order we want to go in. What are the biggest challenges? Eric, how about maybe with you? What are the biggest challenges on this journey related to the? Were the challenges for you, like we talked about the other day, were the challenges technical or were the challenges people-oriented? How would you describe the challenges on the journey to the award?
Yeah, thank you, Terry, for the question, and good morning, everybody. So when we started our journey, we really didn't know what we were doing. That's why we came to an IMC, and I believe it was 2007, just to kind of learn from the audience, from people that had kind of already walked our steps many years back, and kind of planted a couple of seeds. And then also we did bring some ideas that we wanted some validation, like a couple of initiatives that we wanted to roll out, and we got their opinion. And then once we went back to the house, once we went back home and shared it with the team, then the next step was, okay, now work on executive sponsorship. That was absolutely critical. Now, one of the best ideas that we had when we rolled this out is at that time our company had already rolled out a great safety initiative. So what we did is we kind of followed that playbook. How did our safety team, how did our company gain executive sponsorship for our safety strategy? And so that's what we did. So we went to them with the same, with kind of the same perspective, and also by tying reliability to safety.
Hosni, what about you? Because yours is sort of a technical award. You were cleaning up your spares requirements and everything. But was there a cultural part to the accomplishment that you made and to win the award?
Yes, sure. I think the most important challenge for any initiative is culture change and paradigm shift. So to let the organization recognize the business challenge and what we are facing. It is one of key success factor. So we have been working on this. That's at least we have been getting buy-in from all top management, and we have been spread the knowledge across all the organizations. That's how it's been important that we should be working together towards the reliability journey. This culture has been one of major things that we have been working on it.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, for you, it must be really difficult, dealing with culture, because there's the culture inside your own organization.
Right.
But you have the kind of the double whammy. You have a client, so you don't always have control of the culture of your client. So how's that work?
Well, it's a challenge, of course. For those of you who don't know, we do federal services contracts. And so we're working in an environment where the assets aren't usually our own. But the biggest challenge for us probably came internally, where we have to constantly find new ways to communicate to a variety of stakeholders at different levels, and finding the right message that resonates with each level has been tough. But that's probably been one of our biggest challenges.
So communication.
Communication.
And what is that message? Because not everyone's going to be able to even understand. I mean, they didn't come to IMC. They're not reading Uptime magazine. They're not members of the professional association.
Exactly, and it depends on who we're talking to. And we communicate our message everywhere from the boardroom down to the front line. And we have about over 5,000 people in our organization.
Wow. That's a challenge.
It is a challenge.
All right, terrific. Ken, what about you? Same thing, client, and then you've got a gigantic organization of your own. Yeah. Can you address a little bit about the technical, or the technical versus the cultural part of the journey? I mean, they're both filled with challenges. They're both filled with roadblocks. How do you deal with that?
And it is exciting in a sense that our challenges are similar, and that's why being here is so exciting, because we're able to help each other so much. But our challenge is actually technical and cultural at the same time. It's with the foundation of what we do and what we need to begin our reliability journey. So we go out and we talk to teams and we ask them, tell us about the quality of your asset registry. And never have we heard our asset registry is 100% and we have all the attributes of the assets that we need in order to apply the strategy. So we work on that. And then there's just the culture that we need in order for everyone to document everything we do as we add energy to those assets. And what's so interesting about trying to build that culture and really help everyone understand the why we want to take the time to have the right asset registry, the right CMMS utilization, all work on a properly coded work order, and the history and everything, is that if we're not careful as leaders to make sure that we're using that information properly, then we can destroy the culture really quickly. And when a technician writes on a PM, this is the third time I've asked you to change the filter that I need to do the work, to do this work for this asset, you're sending me out with the wrong part. And we're not reading that and we're not adjusting that. We're destroying the culture, not building it. And so that all of that foundation is just so critical, because then we can move on to all those bigger, better, shiny objects that we all love.
Yeah, if culture is what they're talking about, it doesn't take them long to figure out what's reality, does it?
Yes, sir.
They know how to get through a day, for sure. Dragon, when I first met you, you were getting emails from your machines, so I know you talk to your machines. What about your people? How are you getting emails from your people now?
Well, we have a little bit different problem. Our problem was the culture of top management. So
wait a second. Frontline's got it.
Frontline wasn't
supervisors
problem.
are okay. Yeah. Managers got it.
Yeah, everything is fine. Just top management. Basically, they give you money, you take money and run. So that's kind of strategy you have. So problem is that the next year you need money again. So how are you going to prove that, And only way to prove that, to show results. And basically we were plunging good results nobody can dispute. Right. And this is how we got our program running. And finally, that management, what you have chance to meet, is changed. So this is good sign, and I'm expecting different results, for that.
Good, excellent. So the culture's outlasting the top management, which is often the case.
That's right.
Very good. Andy, I know you guys have really done a lot of mastery on the technical side. You're wrestling with the asset information, and you're really putting it into a great context. So the world's an uncertain place, and your work is removing a lot of the uncertainty that can be removed. But what's that do from a cultural standpoint? Once you start removing uncertainty, what's that do to the culture? What happens with the culture once you start getting a little confidence that you are not in control, but at least you know some things that you didn't know before?
Yeah, I think that there is a benefit. The technical advancements within the organization can sometimes build a little bit of trust between even the departments, where other departments, they see, oh, okay, this one group has really put a lot of work in, and they have, and it's not just to do it, but it's aligned with our organizational mission and vision. So then they start, sometimes that opens up some channels of communication, but if you're not careful, it can do the opposite, right? Where they're like, oh, they're just doing their technical thing. And I do think that the cultural side is a lot harder. The technical, I think if you have your vision, you can get some people in the room and you can probably find some technically strategic way to get there. But the cultural side is, it's hard because there's not a clear roadmap. You have to really feel things out. You have to know what people are willing to accept. And one of the biggest challenges I felt like I faced over the past couple of years is the pace at which you're trying to push or help transform the culture. That pace is, I think it's really crucial. If you try to push it too hard, you're going to lose the people and you'll disgruntle people. If you don't push hard enough, there's not going to be change, because the organization doesn't just change by itself, at least in the direction that we need to go in. So I think that pace is definitely difficult. You can advance technicalities and culture at different rates, but what we really try to do is, I guess I kind of see it as like kind of just like a tide moving in. It's really helpful if it moves together so that there aren't two different trajectories.
Yeah, we've seen organizations make those technical journeys, and they don't. If they don't move the culture, we say the rock rolls right back down the hill at some point in time.
Right.
You really have to move the culture along with it, and that's a tough row to hoe. That's for sure. Are there methods, though? I mean, maybe we'll come back the other way. We talk about it, almost like in a cliche way. Of course, we know culture is important. Of course, we know, if we listen to Tom Peters, bang on the stage yesterday at all, we know that it's people. So let's say we all got that message at 100% communication received level. But what methodology can we use? Is there a methodology? Is there a we can say, here's the method for risk assessment. Here's the method for criticality. Here's the method for failure mode assessment. What's the method for cultural embedding of reliability?
Well, I think it's a hard question to answer, but there are certain aspects of cultural embedding that are probably universal, but there's also an aspect that has to be really tailored to your people, right? Because you're dealing with people. You're dealing with organizations, and there's an existing culture, right? So you can't take one culture changing or people in developing approach and apply it to another organization. It doesn't work that way. And actually, even on the technical side, you can't just pick up and drop, because there's different ways of collecting data. Things are structured differently. So I think it's a balance of both. One of the things that we try to do is I go and sometimes I bring others with me to different departments weekly, or I'm not there every week, but they're weekly staff meetings, just for a little bit of 5 minutes, 10 minutes of sharing and training on the concepts of asset management and reliability. And sometimes there are people who kind of catch on. And I've actually talked to one guy. His name is Jeff. He's an operator. And after talking about this, and after him hearing me talk about asset management and reliability, he told me, I ran into him in the parking lot. He said, "Hey, just want to let you know that stuff that you talked about, it's really cool." I went onto ReliabilityWeb.com, and he said he started researching the different elements, and he's learning on his own. No one's pushing him.
Wow.
Right? So it was really cool to hear that. Good and bad, he's actually jumping ship to our sister company, but he's going to bring it there, which is awesome. So that is one of the things that we try to do. We try to go to the different staff meetings and share. But I think the biggest thing, and I've learned this from my executive sponsor, he's here, Kurt Rare, some of you have talked to him, it's just the everyday conversations. And it takes energy and discipline, and it can be sometimes tiring, but to know that when you have an opportunity, whether you run into someone in the parking lot, which is exactly what happened with Kurt and me a few years back, to kind of plant those seeds. When you're in the break room, when you're working on a project, these are the kind of opportunities that, you might not see the fruit right away, but it does yield into something at some point. So I think that's probably the most important thing.
I like that. People, conversation, I like that very much. Dragon, what about you? Is there a methodology? Can we read a book? Can we get a process? Is there a check sheet for step 1, embed this in culture, step 2, embed that in culture?
I would say almost yes. So one of my trips to Ecuador on long waiting on airports,
You dragging kayaks down the Amazon jungle in Ecuador?
Correct. So I was waiting, between 2 planes, and I was lurking around and found a book called Emotional Intelligence.
Emotional intelligence.
And I forgot the author of that book. And that was for me, I would say...
I think Travis Bradbury.
I think, yes, it is. It's big change for myself. Learning soft skills. Learning about how to manage your own emotions, how to recognize emotions of the other people. That awareness, it's huge change. And we start using that in my department. And I saw big changes driven by that. For example, if you have 5 people involved in making decision, 4 people said yes, 1 said no. Basic principle says, okay, we have to spend more time to that one person to understand point of view why is against. It's not traditional, okay, 4-1-1. So we're using those principles, emotional intelligence, and I can see big changes. And even our new mill manager who is coming, he starts organizing town halls meeting, explaining people what we're trying to accomplish, getting to the floor with message. So what we have just in my department now is getting, spread it mill-wide. So I highly recommend guys take that book and just read it.
Very good.
It's going to take you over.
Excellent. We'll check that out. Ken, any process, procedure, formal approach to embedding culture of reliability?
It's interesting to have the privilege to try to be on a team that is promoting cultural change. And it certainly is a challenge. And what our team has come up with logistically or tactically is to really hit the why, the how, and the what. Try to hit it from all 3 of those angles. We have a great program. We have a great technical program, which is the how we do what we do. And we're always trying to improve the program. We have a reliability center of excellence community with a really good representation from around the world. When we talk every month, we get together and talk. And we talk about what is it we do and why do we do it. And we really try to leverage the Uptime Elements framework to help people understand why and be aware of all the different dynamics relative to reliability and why culture and leadership are so important. So we try to hit all that. But I'll tell you, one of the things that I think is really important for all of us is have mentors. Really make sure, we've brought our mentors in. Some of them are in the room. It's really exciting to talk about things like operational excellence and the language that we all use and the books that have been written. And as you bring up many times, how much we love Deming and some that have gone before us. But have mentors, connect with them, bring your mentors in to talk to your teammates. And always be learning and understanding how we can leverage the things that people have figured out that have gone before us. I think has really helped us as well.
Very good. That's great advice. Dan, how about you guys? Do you have a formal approach, something you could share, or any other even just anecdotal advice about procedure, process, checklists for implementing cultural change?
Well, we do. In our case, we took a formal approach to our training. We wanted to, there's a lot of technical training that's available out there in the market, but it's kind of hard to teach someone who's already in your organization why you're doing what you're doing. So we wanted to base a lot of our training to help people understand what our culture is or what we're trying to become with our culture. And so those are things that other people outside of organizations simply can't do for us. So we took a very structured approach to developing an internal training program that reaches all levels of our organization with different messages. It goes back to what I was saying before about communication. When we're pumping out or making training available, it's also another form of communication. And then again, in our case, we want to make sure that our people are empowered to go out and grab the knowledge, use the knowledge wherever they may be, whether it's in a workshop or in a shop, or it could be in any part of our organization for that matter.
And is there a way to know if they're empowered or not?
Wow. I think so, and it's a tough question, I think, but in our case, it's whether or not they feel free to talk about it. If they're talking about it in their workspaces, I think that's probably a fairly good indication. If they're talking to their supervisors, it could be, as long as there's communication from them, I think, coming up, then I think they probably do feel empowered.
I like that. I think that's a good measure. Adni, what about you? Do you have any formal or informal approaches that you can share with our audience?
Yeah, let me say one very important that culture will not going to be changed by force. It's need to be getting people aware about the business challenge. So communication and listening to the problem is very important. So what we have we have Operation Excellence induction training program for all people that's been hiring or the first day. So before they are went to the plans, they have to be going for this Operation Excellence program. That will be listed all the business challenge and how we could be, what is the approach of the organization on doing a business. Second thing, that's communication from top management to all level. So we're having quarterly town hall meetings with all people, with VPs, that's we going to tell what is the challenge for the business, how we could be, what is we are facing, and how we could be improved. By this way, with the communication and listening to the problem, you could be change the culture. The top and not the least, information availability. So we have to get the people informed and having the information about what are the current, what are the risks for the business at the moment, how we could be improved, how is our performance. So with this communication availability and to be getting the people aware about what we are doing good, what we are doing not good, they will be changed. And with constant step-by-step process and the information and getting the people from one stage to another stage, it will be change the culture. And of course, to be having on top of that standardization of the process. So if you are going to be implementing Reliability Excellence program or some of new techniques, you have to be standardized, you have to be working how we are benchmarking ourselves against. By this way, people are going to recognize, we're going to be changed. Otherwise, you cannot force the culture change. People, again, and the communication.
Very good. Eric, what's going on in Cintas? That's such a big, huge, organization. I can't even imagine how you could get your arms around starting, let alone progressing. What are you doing in formalized or informal approach to culture change?
Yeah, so, Cintas is not an engineering company. We serve uniforms. We provide other products and services to our customers. So, the engineering team at Cintas, we're 42,000 strong, but we have only about 100 engineers. So the one thing we did benefit from, even the company was founded a long time ago, and the founder of the company had the presence of mind to write a book, a very short book, that explains the corporate culture of the company. It has 3 elements. One of them is the company's principal objective, and that hasn't changed. And then the second element is describing the company's personality. We call it the corporate character. And so it has a few elements, but one of the elements in that of our corporate character is we embrace positive discontent. So that is basically another way of saying we embrace continuous improvement. And then the third element is the fact that we are a company that embraces policies and procedures. So that has been in the company, forever. So when we embarked on the reliability vision and that reliability journey, we knew that we could build upon that. So first of all, and I've shared it a couple of times in presentations at IMC, one of the best things that we ever did was we created a reliability vision. We created a poster that I've shared with you, Terry, that describes in 5 tenets what we're all about reliability-wise. And keep in mind, when we wrote that in 2007, every one of those tenets that we wrote was not in place. In fact, the very last one, I mentioned it during the award ceremony, was a utopic. In fact, almost laughable that Cintas would be recognized as an industry leader in reliability. So I would say to the audience here, no matter where you're in your journey, if you have not, even if your company has a vision, that's fine. But does your team or does your company have a reliability vision? Obviously, it has to match the corporate's vision and the corporate character. And then, Terry, since you've received the poster, you've seen another thing that we did is we created a logo for our reliability effort. And that logo, in fact, is in the back of all of our business cards. And we use it kind of like a marketing tool so that internally at Cintas, and quite frankly, when we talk to you guys here, also as an external marketing, where everybody can understand what reliability means. So what we did is we basically made reliability easier to understand, because out of our 42,000 strong partners, the minority are technical people. So we made it kind of simple to understand.
So market reliability, that's something we don't really often do. So, they've gone a little further than some of us have. Market reliability, I love that concept. We use the concept of stakeholders, meaning, somebody who's got a concern with your reliability program, somebody who you might be addressing their concern with the reliability program. And, the obvious ones, maintenance, operations is always a big, two stakeholders who have a major concern in reliability. In this journey, were there any stakeholders who were a surprise to you that had as you were making the journey, did you discover stakeholders who had an interest in reliability that you were surprised about?
Well, they came at different times. So first of all, human resources. So I know that Tom Peters spoke differently about human resources, but hey, all of us are in human resources, all of us in this room, because we either directly or indirectly have a say in the careers of others, right? So we play to their professional development, their training efforts. We inspire them to achieve another certification or a different level of whatever tiers they have within your company. So when we set out, we did not know how strong of a role HR was going to play, because one of the first things we needed to fix in our company was the structure, our technical structure within our technicians. Just for perspective, we have about 1,100 technicians spread across 210 locations. And then we have them all across North America. So partnering with HR and then having HR now being an advocate where they buy into our program was huge, because they fight the battles with corporate legal related to wages, the salary bands and things like that. But I tell you, once our reliability effort got going, we are a publicly traded company. We are in the stock market. And as we all know, when you first install a reliability program, well, maintenance costs go up. So we were definitely on people's targets. But as everybody already knows, once your reliability efforts take off, then those costs go down. But the true impact for a publicly traded company, it's called return on net assets. And that is a Wall Street metric that is definitely reviewed for a company that has a lot of equipment like we do. Wall Street looks at the amount of equipment that you have and your sales. And they look at, hey, if every year you increase sales, are you adding equipment? The companies that do not have a good reliability program likely have equipment that only functions 50% of the time, so therefore they may have to have another line, or equipment that only functions 70%, so their competitors are better. Well, since we implemented our reliability program, we have now doubled the return on net assets, and we are the industry leader for our industry code. And so when your chief financial officer attends your engineering meeting year after year to thank you for the contributions you made to a publicly traded company to the stock price, that is tremendous. And we did not expect that. So when you have that level of now executive financial support and buy-in, it's a different. You're now playing in a different playing field.
By the way, I have his poster memorized. And the second bullet is each location will be properly staffed to achieve reliability, and that was another tie-in with HR. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Hosni, any stakeholders that surprised you on your journey to the award?
Financing team. Of course, reliability.
Well, spare parts too. That translates to straight money.
Yeah, reliability. It is reliable plant is cost and effective plant and safe plant. So financing, we are having a program called cash generation. That's how we could be saving and improving our performance from financial point of view. So once every years we should be some set of initiatives. That's how we could be improving the business from cost perspective. So I get to having a regular visit from financing people. What is the initiative for this year's? How we could be improving reliability to be improving the cost, to be improving our maintenance cost. So financing, they have been we having as management lead team meeting every month with VBs and with all the directors. So financing people, they are being willing to attend. They would like to be hearing about what we are going to do, what we are doing now. And this I could be says financing have been tied up with us on day-to-day on reliability journey.
You know, we talked about, the new breed of reliability leader when we opened up the conference. If you do not have basic financial skills, if you cannot read a basic financial statement, it's going to be a challenge to be a reliability leader in the future. And so one of the skills you need to acquire by the time you get to IMC next year is acquire those basic financial skills. What about you, Dan? Was there a stakeholder on the way to this award, or a group of stakeholders that surprised you as you were advancing reliability in the organization?
Essentially everybody in our case. Every HR, finance, I can go on to say procurement, you name it, quality, safety. For us, because it's breaking down silos across our organization, and so there's really no area that we weren't surprised that became a stakeholder. We knew going in who the intended stakeholders were. Primarily our customers, of course, our shareholders, things like that. But then internally, we were pleasantly surprised. And I think it's I don't know if it's cart horse or which one comes first, but it's helping us break down those silos. We're communicating across them, so everybody became a stakeholder in our organization.
It's interesting. Great. Ken, what about you? Was there any particular surprises on this journey?
I think I'm also at the point where it's just everyone, and I'm no longer surprised at the fact that we need everyone. I'm just continually surprised as to how important everyone outside of engineering is for the journey. And you absolutely have to be honest with where you are in your present state in order to be on the journey, but you also have to have that collaboration across all of your stakeholders to be on the journey. And it's really interesting because you can have ambitious goals to say, this is where we want to be as an organization relative to reliability excellence. But if you go back, and even if you have a good bias for action and people that want to go do, right, as you say, the universe doesn't care what you think, go do something. And so it's really exciting to see how much we have to collaborate across those different stakeholders to get everyone on the same train and actually take actions that move us forward as an organization. So that's been really exciting. And it's not the way I thought back in the beginning, right? It was, well, engineering can handle it all by themselves. We can make reliability happen, and that doesn't work.
I love it. Dragan, what about you?
I would say we had good support, but two functions who surprised me. One was the IT department. So when we started, we were not probably aware.
That tremendous support department called IT?
That's
Oh, that wasn't supposed to be a joke. Oh, no. No, go ahead. I'm sorry if there's any IT people in the audience. I just had to do that. Go ahead. Sorry, Dragan.
Thanks,
sorry.
Dave. Yeah, so when we implement about 84 continuous monitoring systems, wireless network, and those things, the logistic, they stepped in.
That's why your machines were emailing you. Now I
That's right.
understand. Okay.
And second one was our union. So usually you can hear a story how it's hard to work in unionized environment, but in our case, we had such a good support from union members. When you, for example, removing one type of work to one trade to another trade, usually this is union very sensitive. For example, when we implemented our ODR program,
The operator-driven reliability.
that's right. You're removing maintenance function inspections, those with doesn't require specific skills and tools to operate. And our union members stepped in and supported us when union discussed about that. So that was for me a surprise. And I would say without their support, we would be probably stuck somewhere and wasted lots of time. So those two things surprised.
That's great. Good insight. Thank you. Andy, what about for you? Any surprises on the stakeholder side of things? Did you do a formal stakeholder? Because I know you're more formal on your asset management approach. Did you do did you try to proactively identify your stakeholders on this journey? And were there any surprises?
Well, I guess in the end, our stakeholders, employees are one of them, but we have our customers, our communities, and the environment, and the shareholders. So we didn't go out to all of those stakeholders to try to get their feedback. We will at some point. We think we'll take that step. I don't think we're ready for that yet. But in terms of who has been playing, who has a stake in advancing our program, I think we expected everyone to be somewhat involved from the start, however, at different times, right? And one that came a little sooner than I thought was customer service. Now, what does customer service have to do with even asset reliability? And it absolutely does for us, because one of the ways we find out there are issues is through customer complaints. They call, hey, something's wrong with the water. Hey, my water's brown today, what's going on? Or there's a lot of air in my water. Well, 9 times out of 10, it's because of an asset issue. But we wouldn't know that until they call into the customer service, the customer support line. And historically, that data was only in the customer database. And the way that data was stored was not in a way where we could really use it for asset management. But so for the past year, maybe even over a year, we've been starting on this. We've been starting to talk to some people in customer service and different departments, with like a cross-functional project to try to get it changes the workflow. It changes the questions that the customer service reps actually have to ask.
Wow.
So they are starting to, and they have to change, obviously, the customer database for a new field, which corresponds to the new questions that they'll be asking. And we're going to get that data and be able to determine what the cause of that complaint was, which is usually an asset problem. Or if it's not an asset problem, it's some kind of work issue. Maybe it's an error from an operator, or maybe it's a mechanical automated error, or maybe just a set point for a valve that we didn't set correctly. So that came sooner than expected. I think we had that in the horizon, but we realized we were ready for it, and actually we needed it sooner than later.
That is great. You got a whole new personnel, inspectors, a whole bunch of new inspectors on your team. That's really...
Well, the inspectors are our million people in the service area.
No better, and they're quite willing to share the results of their inspections.
They definitely are.
You won't have to worry about them forgetting to make note of it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. How about, and we'll put you on the spot, but you're okay if you want to pass. As I often say, I'd love to have the On-Reliability Conference. Would you be willing to share any missteps that you made on this journey? Because we can often learn from missteps as much as we can learn from the successes. Was there anything that you wish you wouldn't have done on the journey? And how'd you recover from that?
Yeah, I definitely, there's more than a handful of mistakes, but I think one of the ones that I've experienced even more recently, which I was gently confronted about, thankfully, it's because we have that kind of relationship, is sometimes we will go down a path and decide to make changes to improve things, that's the intent, without getting the input and feedback from those that would be affected. And so that actually can come off in a very negative way. It can be a little bit offensive to those people because they're not being brought into the loop and they're not being involved. But even worse than them being offended, I think what that actually does is that changes their view of what you are all about and what the program is all about. They start to get the sense that people are serving reliability and asset management or the program, as opposed to the other way around.
Right.
Reliability and asset management has to be there to make the work and the life of the employees and whoever you're serving better. And that kind of gets flip-flopped. Totally, sometimes we can put it on its head on accident. And so that's something that, if you're not bringing the right people in, and especially the people you're going to impact, if you're not getting their input, that actually means you're probably maybe too excited to see this change, and you're not really taking into account how this is going to affect certain people, and will it really make things better for them, or is it going to make things worse for the departments that are going to be affected by it? So
we have seen that before, so that's a really good one. So thank you very much for sharing that. Dragon, any missteps you'd like to share so they can avoid them?
Nope.
Perfect. Program. That is amazing. Amazing.
So one of the things what I would like to change, if I can get in past, for example, we got new mill manager. And now my previous boss never asking for showing savings, those things approval. So now I got caught at once, new mill manager and said, why would I, 4 vibration analysts? Why do you need 4 vibration analysts? And start challenging things. So we have a reduction in our people 5-6 years ago, and we did reduce about 100 or something people, and my department was only 1 grow. And now, with changing top management, now I have to prove myself again. So I would stick on the savings, showing most result, doesn't matter who's your boss.
So even if you haven't been called on to do it, document it.
Documented.
Great.
So I basically had one big call, for example, a turbine or a big piece of equipment, and we show savings. Okay, this is payback for all my department, for this year. But it didn't go on details. So our reduction of the failures was significant, but we showed just number of reduction. We never show real savings in the money. I would stick that.
Very good. Ken, anything you'd do differently?
Well, after our keynote, I definitely wish I had heard Tom Peters a couple decades ago.
I'll admit there, I looked at a couple of those slides, I said, that looks like me maybe a little bit. That might be me a little bit.
That was phenomenal. Ever since the keynote, every elevator ride I've been in, people have been talking about that, and it was outstanding. I think a major epiphany in my ride has been around data, and not so much about vibration data or when even uptime and downtime data, but really looking at our data from the perspective of, do we really understand how much reactive work that we're executing and how much proactive work, genuine proactive work we're executing, so that our teams can enjoy what they're doing, they can be safe, they can go to their daughter's soccer game. It's not just that constant torture of reacting to the client, the assets, the whatever it is that you do. And so when I reached the point that I recognized how powerful that data was and came up with clear definitions for us as to what is proactive, what is reactive, and then began to use that information to speak to executive sponsors and clients, et cetera, I look back and think, well, I didn't do anything before that happened. And so I really think we need to look at data, but look at it in terms of the way we can use it to lead and use achieve reliability excellence.
Great. I like that. How about you, Dan? Any true confessions up here?
Funny you bring that up. Okay, so in our case, I already mentioned the communication piece, but there was another part of it that I think that if we had to go back and do it differently is not trying to eat the whole elephant with one bite. There's a lot of different components to doing a full-up asset management, business transformation effort, and I think it's okay to go back and break it down. I think you should go down and break it down into smaller, more manageable pieces, understand what each piece is trying to accomplish, what its return is for the organization, and tackle it a little bit more systematically than the whole elephant at once.
That makes a lot of sense. How about you, Hosni?
Balancing between the three legs for reliability journey. System and the process and technical, more or less, people and the culture. Sometimes during the journey we are going to be focused more on technical, we are unforeseen or we are left behind some of the culture change and organization culture. Some of time we are focusing on the people only and we are not making more efforts on technical or organization culture. So balancing between these three, I think it will be one of things that I could be says, if you're going to be doing it differently, we need to be balancing between all the three pillars or three legs for the reliability. That's very, very important. That's when we are focusing more or less on technical, you are not forgetting people, you are not forgetting organization culture. When we are talking about standardization, try when we are making standardization or a new policy, new procedures, it is management of change. So we need to be changing the people, we need to be changing the culture. Any introducing new initiative, it has to be carefully putting on our mind that it's management of change. So balancing between these three pillars or three legs is very, very important.
I like it. Yeah. Eric?
Yeah, so, we started our journey, about 2007, and we focused a lot on the vision, what programs are we going to roll out. But it took us a few years before we actually developed a technician training guide. So to Tom Peters' point, people. In fact, out of his presentation, our team has a bunch of notes of what can we go back to and improve for our technician training. Because as technicians are becoming less and less available, we're having to rely on them to do more. Not only do more, but actually do more effective work so that they just do not say, hey, listen, I need more technicians. What we need to do is just do more effective work. But I will tell you that another opportunity, and this one blindsided us, especially as of late, is women in reliability. So I have Maura right in front of me. I mentioned that we have 1,100 technicians. Out of those 1,100 technicians, we include the operators of our wastewater plants. We only have 18 women. I'm going to let that sink in. 18 women. And out of those 18 women, only 4 are technicians. The others are wastewater operators. So we're still trying to figure out what do we need to do to attract women into the technician roles. And then not only that, externally, join Centos to be a technician. But what can we do to promote people that are maybe our operators of our machinery, operators of some minor tasks in our plants, and inspire them to be a technician? What can we do to that role to make it inspiring and a career they would like to change to? So for us, those are 2 areas that we missed, and those are 2 areas that continue to be a tremendous opportunity for us.
Fantastic. Well, we're coming to the end of our discussion, but how about if you have somebody in the audience here who's just starting their journey, clean slate, they're just getting started on Monday.
Right. Well, you're at the right.
What kind of advice you got for them?
First of all, you're at the right place because we were here when we were at the starting point. The one thing is, obviously, this is now Thursday, and tomorrow the agenda is pretty small. Hopefully, you make connections with people. So hopefully, you asked a lot of questions. Definitely plan on your budget to come back. And even if in your first one you were a little shy, maybe you didn't make those connections, make sure that you're effective on the next conference. And then you have a conference that is in May. So maybe plan on attending the other conference and make those connections. Definitely, the more times you come, the more effective you select your sessions that you like to attend. And then you have free and available resources from ReliabilityWeb and others. So make sure you go back to your teams, share what these resources are like and what they are so that they can start implementing them.
Great. Good advice. How's anybody about for you? Any advice for the people who are starting on Monday?
I will use your slogan, reliability for everyone without one behind. We need to be communicated, to be ensured, and to be teach the organization what is important of reliability. From here, you could be start. Unless you will not be able to be move one step. We need to be ensured that the organization understanding how this is important on all business aspects. Organization's holistic approach, it is not only on asset management, it is how we are running our business.
I like that. Dan?
I would say plug into a community just like this, community of practice, somewhere where you can find a lot of the hard work's already been done, where you don't have to do everything from do it again yourself and reinvent the wheel. The wheel's already been invented. You might need to tweak little things here and there along the way, but you don't need to reinvent it. The other thing is find a mentor. My mentor is right in front of me. I don't know if he knows it or not, but I started with Ramesh Gulati and his book, and it led me to this community.
Amen.
And, so.
That's great. Sure. And there are a lot of them in this audience.
They sure are.
Yeah, definitely. Ken?
Well, like many of the people in the audience, we've talked about the uptime elements and this common language for many years now, but don't underestimate the power of the common language. It is desperately needed. Make sure you put energy into getting everyone into that framework so we can talk to each other and really understand each other, and then go do.
Like it very much. Thank you for that advice. Dragon?
For me, it's engagement. So, for example, who are the biggest critics? There are people who didn't have chance. So why not give people chance to get involved from the beginning of idea? If I can start from the beginning, that would be my first step.
Get them involved. Let them make the change.
Let's work together on that.
Terrific.
Not just tell them,
Yeah.
Here it is. So
Exactly.
uptime elements.
Don't do reliability to them.
That's right. Uptime elements, just don't put picture on the wall and expecting that something going to happen, So basically start talking, explaining, why, and ask the opinion,
Great. Andy, any parting advice for the folks who are going to get started on Monday?
I think just immerse yourself. Don't be, shy about immersing yourself. Buy some books and talk to people you've met here that have been on the journey for a little longer. And then I think right after that, see if you can find out who in your organization might buy in and believe in that same cause too. Because if you have one other person, it makes a huge, huge difference, and it starts getting the ball moving. So.
Yeah, I like that. You got to find other people in the organization. All right, terrific. How about a hand for our panel here? You guys can head down. Hey, give a big warm hand for these guys, please. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Well, there's a group who've been here, done that, got the T-shirt, so to speak. So make sure you meet them. If you got any questions for them, we've got refreshments down in the expo and coffee and some snacks. That was a great discussion. I always learn so much from the people who made the journey. And if you tell them, they'll tell you they're still on the journey. They didn't arrive at any particular destination. We're just acknowledging their mile marker where they're at their journey right now. And I can guarantee you they're working hard to advance from where they are right now. They want to win more awards. They want to win awards next year as well. And they're going to continue marching on that journey. I will promise you that. And they'll be advanced from this time next year. So thank them very much for the patience and letting me drill into their programs like that, and them being so transparent with us up here. And we'll look forward to seeing you back here at 10 o'clock for the reliability and asset performance talks, 20-minute wrap talks. In the meantime, go down and say hello to the exhibitors. They have lots of solutions to help us advance reliability and asset management, and we'll see you up here at 10 o'clock. Thank you, everyone.